With you on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, and our interviews are presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. It has been a long time coming, but we have heard word that progress is being made on a new post office for the Coral Grayston area. This, of course, coming after the former post office was burned in a fire back in 2016. Joining us on the phone right now, Logan Dellafiora of the Coral Grayston Fire Department. Logan, good morning.
Morning, Josh. How you doing?
Doing excellent. Yourself, sir?
Oh, doing well. I've never been on the radio live from laying in bed before I went to work, but there's a first time for everything, so here we are.
I guess so. But let's talk about some of the things that have been going on. We'll start off with a little bit of history behind this project. As I think many people know, back in 2016, back in March, I believe it was, there was the big fire at the original Coral Grayston post office site, which was actually down the road from the fire department, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. It was 2016. It ended up being an arson. Ironically, our fire department obviously responded. We were the first company there, obviously. But, so it was 2016. We've been without a post office since then. Coral residents have been forced to go to the Homer City post office, pick up their mail, do anything relating to the postal service. So it's been rather inconvenient for them. So this moving forward, we've been working on it for some time here, about a year and a half, and so moving forward, this will be very good for the town. It'll be good for the fire company. It's going to be a revenue source as well for us. But all in all, we think it's a good thing moving forward.
All right. So obviously, as you said, it's a revenue source for you. When did the idea first come around to use some of the Coral Grayston fire lot for the post office? When did that idea start brewing?
I'll tell you what, we probably started. We started pushing the idea probably. I think the post office burnt down on say March 15th of 2016. We probably started coming up with the idea on March 16th. It was of 2016. It was one of those things where we fought all along. But, you know how, you get into the governmental bureaucracy. It's a slow process. There's a lot of red tape you got to cut through.
Mm-hmm.
So to get through all that, it took a while. So it was a process, but we've been pushing the idea all along. We knew that the Postal Service was getting close to putting a post office back in. We found out about a year ago. They wanted to put it somewhere, and it was, we just stepped up to the plate. We jumped up, and we said we have an entire lot sitting here empty. Local organization could use the monthly revenue income as well. And it was just everything fell into place. And thankfully, it seems to be that we're right on the cusp of making it happen.
All right, so let's get everything clear. The fire department still owns the land. It is leasing it to the post office, right?
That is correct. From the way we understand it, the paperwork's being finalized now. The way we understand it, it's obviously going to be a lease. But they have a modular building they're going to construct, bring in. They're going to have a little bit of site excavation to get utilities run to it. But it will be on our property, but they'll be leasing the property from us.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was discussed, if I remember right, back in January or at the start of the year. There was a big public meeting held with the U.S. Postal Service officials in attendance, and they were very, very excited about the idea of bringing a post office back to the Coral area.
Yes, that is correct. It was somewhere around January. It could have been February. Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly when it was. But, yeah, it was a public meeting, very well attended, so obviously that says something for people before wanting their post office back. But, yes, that was it seemed as if that meeting there, it was anyone could have came in with a plan. They could have offered the U.S. Postal Service their land or presented their plan to them. But following that meeting, no one submitted proposals other than the fire company. It seemed as if everyone in that meeting was very on board with putting it there, and they agreed with us. So we submitted our proposal, and it was, as I said, it was as far as we know, the way we understand it, it was the only one submitted. Mm-hmm. So we ultimately were granted the right of construction.
All right. Now, I'm sure that as the year has progressed, and you said that this has been through a lot of government red tape, but I would also have imagined that the coronavirus crisis may have also played into maybe a bit of a delay with the post office going into Coral Grayston.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't necessarily speculate as to how much time it added to this process, but if it wasn't for the coronavirus, it would be my rough guess, my personal guess, that the post office will probably already be constructed. But, I mean, obviously we've been dealing with the Postal Service architect who's working, I believe, out of North Carolina. So, and then he's most likely, as I would assume, working from home. So it's just, it creates, not only when you have the bureaucracy to cut through, but when you're cutting through the fact of the people you're dealing with working from home and remotely, it's not necessarily as streamlined of a process. So I would say it has kind of slowed it down. But, when it's, 2020, so it's been 4.5 years without a post office, extra month or two for the safety, of the people working for the Postal Service. It's not going to kill us. So we look at it that way.
All right. We're talking with Logan Dellafiora of the Coral Grayston Fire Department this morning here on Indiana in the Morning, and we are discussing the upcoming post office that is in the works right now, and right now the final details are being put to paper for the lease agreement for the property. And Logan, from what you have told us, this is going to be a prefabricated modular building, and this is going to look like a lot of other, prefab post offices across the United States, but it is still going to give the residents of Coral Grayston the postal service that they need then.
Yeah, that is correct. Like I said, I mean, we submitted our paperwork to the Postal Service. I've yet to see a site plan. I believe that's in the works, but I mean, all along we've been told it's going to be a modular building. It's not going to be anything massive. It's not going to be anything. It's going to be a nice-looking building, but it's not going to be the Taj Mahal of post offices, but it's going to do the job.
All right. But we're expecting people to be able to access P.O. boxes in there like they have in the past, like they did in the past with the Coral Grayston office.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be post office. From the way I understand it, I believe they're going to have a Postal Service employee there to do, just typical work, stamps, mailings. I believe 4 hours a day, from what I'm being told now. That's obviously a fluid situation that could change, but the way we understand it now, it's going to be staffed, I believe, 20 hours a week with access to the P.O. boxes throughout the day. All
right, so kind of like the smaller, other smaller post offices like in Blacklick, Lucerne, those areas, sounds like.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, and access, I think I did hear them say that access would be granted to the post office, to the P.O. boxes outside of those 4 hours as well, because that was, I think, a concern brought up by a couple of citizens during that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's, whenever the post office is open, let's say hypothetically 9 to 1, the majority of your people are going to be at work at that time, so it's not going to be conducive to them getting there, doing, conducting their business. So the way I understand it, yeah, it's going to be, the door will be open from, I can't say what times, but it will be open outside the regular business hours when the post office is staffed. People are able to get in and get their mail from the P.O. boxes themselves.
And we're looking at how long do you think this project will take? Probably, 4 months, 6 months?
Like I said, we haven't been submitted a final site plan yet. That'll have to go through the legal end, just to, it'll have to go through just planning. It'll have to go through the ensuring the lease is correct. Once we receive all that, from what we're told, the Postal Service is ready to get going, and obviously they've built. This isn't their first rodeo building a prefab.
Right? Yeah.
It's not their first rodeo. So it's they've built prefab post office real quick before. They have their trusted contractors who know what they're doing. So once the process itself actually starts, I would estimate 2 months maybe. But I mean, once the question becomes, when does the process start? We're hoping to have the post office up and running within 6 months is our goal, right, as we sit now.
So we're thinking hopefully by the holidays.
Yeah, hopefully. That's our goal. That's not putting anything on paper to guarantee it's going to happen.
Right.
As we said, this process has been a very drug out. It's a long process. So if it's not, add an extra month or two if something happens. It's not going to be the end of the world. It'll be inconvenient for extra month or two. But as we said, we're just trying to work together to come to the solution. I mean, we're almost to the finish line. The question just becomes, how far is the finish line away?
Right. Logan Dellafiora of the Coral Grayston Fire Department, thank you for joining us, providing us with the local angle on this story, and we wish you guys all the best. Please extend our best wishes to the fire department members, telling them to stay safe out there, and also please keep us in the loop as to any progress on this. Thanks.
Will do, Josh. Have a good weekend.
You do the same. Logan Dellafiora joining us here on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. So a lot of progress being made on that Coral Grayston post office, and we hope to hear more progress being made soon.